Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to be wrapping some gifts today and answering a few questions. So the first thing is that Quiet Life Farm blog, I think it's just quietlifefarm.com. I had linked some of her patterns, but she sent out these adorable gift tags that are for handmade gifts for free to her email subscribers. And so I have these and I'm going to cut out a few of them and get them ready to go on the packages. I didn't have any cardstock, so I'm just cutting these out of regular printer paper, and I'll just be sure to tape them down really well. As my 14-year-old says, 'tis the season for the tape companies to get rich. We use a lot of tape. So I've got, let's see, 4 tags cut out, and I'm giving 6 gifts, but 2 of them are not handmade. So these don't really go for those. Just set the rest aside because I will need them this holiday season. And I'm going to write on the names then as I wrap, and then I also printed out this history of the Dutch tool chest and a picture of an original one. I'm just going to set that in the top of my grandpa's tool chest before I wrap it. So I'm going to get out my wrapping paper and start getting this done. Okay, so I had to get a pretty big box for this tool chest, and the wrapping paper is not long enough, so I went ahead and taped a square on each end, so then whenever I wrap it, it'll just go over that and cover the cardboard completely. So while I get this ready, I'm gonna put the tool chest in it, and then I brought in a bunch of newspaper to pack it with, and I'm just wrapping this one on the floor because it's gonna be big and heavy and awkward, so that should be enough. I'm gonna answer the first question, and I actually got this one twice, and it was just, where are we from? So we are American. We live in Maryland, on the western side of the state. So not the city part and not the ocean part. We live in the mountains of Maryland, and we have lived in this house for our entire 20 years of marriage. It was my grandparents' house, and it had sat empty. And then when we got married, we needed a place to live, so we rented for a while, and then bought this house from my mom, who had inherited it. We were both raised in Pennsylvania. We actually grew up about 3 miles apart, my husband and I. But I was born in Montana. My parents lived there for a very short time. Well, like 7 years. But I lived there for the first 3 years of my life. And somebody mentioned that I sounded Canadian, and I don't know if that has something to do with it. I mean, I learned to talk in Montana, but then I have kind of a West Virginia accent too, maybe. Because even though we live in Maryland, we're only 2 miles from West Virginia. Most of what we do, our thrifting is in West Virginia, and our church is in West Virginia. So I don't know. I think I have an accent that's just a little bit everywhere. So yeah, we're American and we live in Maryland. The second question was, how did my husband and I meet? So like I said, we grew up about 3 miles apart, but we didn't know each other. My sister-in-law and I were both cheerleaders, and so I knew her. She was only a year older than I am. I knew her for several years before I ever met my husband, and I met him officially. There was one time that we kind of met in passing a year or 2 prior to our official meeting. That's good. I'm going to need packing in case I think. But we officially met when I was 14 and he was 17. And we met at Relay for Life, which was a fundraising event for the American Cancer Society. So you kind of had teams, and the teams would raise money, like pledges, for how many miles or laps someone could walk. But anyway, he had a team from school. He was already in high school, and I was on a team with my church youth group, and we met there. And once we found out like who the other was, our families were married in different times. We grew up in a very small town kind of situation. It's not even really a town. So our families had kind of known each other, or known of each other for a long time. My dad went to school with his uncle, and yeah, I found it funny that we had grown up together or so close to each other and had never met. But we started dating, and then we were married when I was 16 and he was 19, and we had a 6-week-old baby at that point, and we've been together ever since. So that is how we met. So that one is all done. I've got a little tag on there. So now I'm going to wrap up 3 gifts that were purchased and not handmade. I got this daily puzzle calendar for my grandpa. He likes the daily calendars, and we've done a million of them, but he's also super smart, and I think he'll like that. And then my aunt, I told you I didn't get to make her the picture, the fabric picture. So I got her this little candle thing. Hang on a second, don't mind my arm. But it glows. And then some soap. Go ahead, Abby. It smells really good. Made in Portugal, and it's so cute. So I got those at Kohl's with Kohl's Cash for my Aunt Sue's. And then this is for my secret sister at church, and it's Kath Kidston, and I think it is so pretty. I think it'd be wonderful as a tin for like pencils. If they have any when I go back, I may get myself one. But it is hand cream, and even that is just gorgeous. So I'm going to wrap that up for her. Okay, so I'm going to wrap my grandma's rug that I showed you in the last video next. And here's a fun thing. My grandma, we call her Mino. Apparently when I was like a year old, that's what I called her. And so I'm 37 and it has stuck. So this is for Mino. And also most of my friends know her as Mino too. So if you ever run into Mino, you'll know she's ours. So another question that was asked was how many children do we have? And I've said this a couple of times, but if you're new, we have 8 children, and 7 of them are still children, I guess. Our oldest will be 21 in March, and that's Alex. And then we have Elizabeth, and she is 17, and she's a high school senior in our homeschool, and she is going to the state of Indiana in August for college. She wants to be a sign language interpreter, She's wanted to do that since she was about 8 years old, and so that is her. Our third born is Aaron. He is in 10th grade and he's 15, and he is my woodworking buddy. He's the one who has helped me with anything to do with wood this Christmas and the lamp. And then number 4 is Emma, and Emma's in 9th grade. She's 14, and she is our artist. She can draw, paint, crochet, anything you want her to do, anything she wants to do. I didn't mention, I guess, Alex plays the guitar. Elizabeth is learning violin. Aaron is a pretty decent bassist, and Emma plays the guitar differently than Alex plays the guitar. This is not the prettiest wrapping job, but there it is. Let me go get a tag. This one says crafted with cheer and a bit of trial and error. So that's going on the gift for Mino. So then the next one down from Emma is Caleb, and he's almost 13. He'll be 13 in January. He is all boy. He's trying to learn tinsmithing. Alex is blacksmithing, and so Caleb wants to learn tinsmithing, and he loves adventure and danger and all those boy things. And then Evie, or Evelyn, is 11, and she is the little mama. All the babies at church love her, and we love her too. And then number 7 is Abigail, and she is our drama queen, full of sass all the time. And then the baby of the family is Micah, number 8, and he is 7. He'll be 8 in March. And he's fun, and he comes up with the most interesting things to say. And yeah, he'll always be our baby. So that is the 8 of our children. So we're on to our last 2 gifts and our last 3 questions. So we've got the sweatshirt that I made for my grandma that says, "Grandchildren fill the space in your heart you never knew was empty." And then the one that I made for my aunt that has the Happy Camper reverse applique on it. So we're going to wrap these and answer the last couple of questions. I think I left the paper sit over there. Hopefully I remember. So one question was, do I knit as well? And no, I don't. My 15-year-old Aaron can knit, and he's the only one in our household who can. My mom knits, my sister-in-law knits, but I learned to crochet when I was 12, and I just cannot make my fingers do the right things to knit. So I would love to, and I've tried a bunch of times, and I will probably continue to try, but no, I don't knit. I sew, I crochet, I embroider, I do some needle felting, some quilting, a little bit of painting, all kinds of things, but I do not knit. The same person asks, what is my favorite hobby? And that just depends on the day or the season. I try to have a couple of things going all the time because I will get tired of working on one thing, and then I can kind of go back and forth. So I like to have like an embroidery project, a crochet project, and a sewing project all kind of in the works at the same time. And then they also asked, I guess there's 4 questions. What is my favorite thing that I've made? And I don't know if they mean like for this year or ever. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I've made a lot of things. I've made Waldorf dolls, and they're kind of cool. I don't know. A lot of things. I've made a lot of things. I liked making things when my kids were babies, and they would wear what I made them all the time. But yeah, there's different things for different seasons. So that's the answer to that, is I don't know. Okay, so I've got the little tag. This one for Mino says, made with patience, gifted with joy. And also, I know I'm very boring in that all of my wrapping paper is the same, but I don't like having a bunch of open wrapping papers. I've got some extra ones up in the attic, but I don't want to get another one down until this one's gone. So they're boring and they're all the same, and that's okay. So then the last question was asking how I keep my patience with my children and get everything done. And I don't do either of those things perfectly or even well sometimes. I do try. For patience, I try not to let myself get to the point where something is an emergency, because if I'm running around needing to do something really fast, then I tend to be snappy, and I don't want to be that way. So try to get things done ahead of time. And you guys saw there were things I wanted to do for Christmas this year that didn't get done, and that is why, because I don't want to sacrifice my relationship to get things done. Also, I have a video on the channel about how I get things done as someone. Yeah, that's fine. Just stay away from the garage. Someone who is a naturally lower energy person. I have bouts of energy, but I'm not somebody who's energetic all the time. And so I don't get everything done all the time, and I'm not always patient. But I will say that I am more patient than I used to be. I've been a mom for almost 21 years. And in 21 years, I have learned some things. And I have learned how fast things can go, how quickly the time flies. And also I have learned that relationships are built in the small moments, not in the big things. So the things can wait, and we'll get to them, but it's the daily moments that make a relationship strong. And again, I don't do this perfectly, and I'm wanting always to do better, and I get more sleep now. I think the person asking said she has 4 young children, and I still don't sleep through the night. I don't know if I'll ever sleep through the night, but I get more sleep now than I did when I had little children. So if you guys listened to how old my children are, then you know that I had a baby about every 18 months to 2 years for a while. I was really tired. And when I was really tired, it was harder to make conscious, good decisions. And so I'm thankful for sleep. So that's going to be it for today. I need to go mash my potatoes and head to Pennsylvania for our get together. And yeah, thank you so much for being here and keeping me company while I wrapped gifts. And I will see you all very soon. Bye and Merry Christmas.